Hi everyone, it's Mark from Tranquil Garden Urban Homestead, and today it's another day for a garden tour. It's August now, and as you can see in the back here, my beans are doing really well, and there's still a lot of other vegetables and also a lot of fruit that's ripening right now, and we're harvesting like crazy, and I want to share with you what's going on in the garden. Stay tuned. So like I said, we got lots of beans. These are our bush beans here, and we've been harvesting tons off of these, and we've been also blanching and freezing them, and I'll leave a link in the description for this video below on how to actually blanch and freeze beans and other vegetables, so in case you have a large harvest you know what to do. And let's have a look. I think we might still have some here and there. They're starting to peter out, but we've got one right here. And this is a multicolored blend, which is basically yellow, purple, and green beans. And then we've got over here, once we get in close enough, where are they? Sometimes a little bit hard to find. There's a interesting mottled color of what is called a borlodi bean. And this is a drying bean, so this is something that in summertime, once they've plumped up enough, we can pick them, we can dry them, and then we can store them in the pantry for wintertime dinners. And then we've also got a big patch of soybeans, or edamame, and these guys are a little bit slow. They need lots of heat, but if we have a look here, let's see, where are they? There they are. There's a little one that's just starting, and this plant is fairly full. Like I said, we started them a little bit late, and they do need lots of heat, so they happen to be in a fairly sunny part of this bed. And then as I step around here, let's actually kind of pan up and down, is this humongous, tall set of pole beans. And they really go all over the place. You can see them here. There you go. There's a nice beautiful one. This one could plump up a little bit more, but again, we've been picking like bags full of these, and again blanching and freezing them because we're really getting tired of actually eating beans right now. But when you blanch and freeze them, then you can enjoy them in wintertime. And then over here we've got some peas also coming along, and I had planted some new ones here, and this one is getting in the way. But down here you'll see some little guys that are just coming up, and they'll really enjoy the cooler fall weather and produce some peas for us to eat as well. And then we've got more drying beans and things down here. Here's more of those borlodi beans. There you go. Beautiful color, and inside they're like pink and red mottled colors, and they're really beautiful and so versatile when you dry them. And then we've got some other ones here, if I can find them, and these ones are a different kind of drying bean. I think these ones are the orca ones, and they're kind of a white and black. Got a bird in the background saying yes, they're great. The birds usually don't get the beans, so we're safe, hopefully, from the birds picking them. Okay, and then our main central bed here, we've still got tons of spring green onions. This variety is called Kincho. It's actually Japanese type. It is getting really thick stalks, and believe it or not, these ones are actually still from last summer, so they're almost perennial. And we sometimes just pick a whole bunch of them, chop them up thin slices, and then actually just freeze them the way they are. And then we use them in wintertime when we make miso soup, which we eat a lot of, and you can use it for fried rice or whatever you have. Our broccoli, for some reason, is wanting to go tall like a tree, and we did cut the central head off, and this one isn't, but if you have a look here, this one is getting, the smaller one is actually getting some little florets of cauliflower. And then our kale has been doing well, and I've been using it in my morning smoothie every morning, my green smoothies. And it was attacked a little bit by aphids, but the aphids seem to have given up now, and just a matter of picking 1 or 2 stalks and taking leaves off and throwing them into the blender along with some fruit and water. And then we've got some little cabbages here. They're not that big, but we'll definitely be picking them soon and starting to eat them. We still have a bunch of kohlrabis left, and these also we blanched because we had so many of them. They were getting too big and getting a little bit woody inside, so we still have some left. There's another one in the back here. They're pretty prolific. We call them the UFOs of the vegetable world because they kind of hover in midair on their root and look like little UFOs hovering in the air with, I guess, lots of antenna or whatever you want to call them. And then in the central bed I've also planted a few tomato plants. These ones are a little bit late going, but if I can get out of the shade here of myself, there are actually some blossoms here, as you can see. So these tomatoes will come a little bit later. We've got some little puny looking pepper plants, and they're coming along, but again, they were planted a little bit late, so they haven't really had full advantage to get big. And a few more tomato plants. So if all of these produce tomatoes, we're going to have tons of tomatoes we'll be able to freeze and use later in winter. A little bit of the shade of the neighbor's house and our fence is a nice stand of celery, which kind of died down, but I cut it down and it's been growing again. Our asparagus are sitting here and just developing the roots even more by leaving the foliage on them. And then what has been kind of a hit and miss thing is we've got some zucchini here, and we have been picking zucchini fairly regularly. I just picked some the other day, so there's none on here right now. But there are some flowers here on the green ones. You can kind of see in the hidden away, and we do actually have, do it this way. We've actually got some little baby zucchini coming there. And the other thing that we have in here is we do have some kabocha, which is a Japanese squash, but these plants haven't been doing well. And this plant is getting long and it's got lots of flowers on it, but it hasn't actually been setting any fruit, so I think we've got problems with maybe pollination. And then my cucumber plants here, which have been producing all summer, and you can see they've got some slightly bulbous looking cucumbers, but the other cucumbers we've been having have been sort of the long straight ones. There's another one over here as well. So there you go. And then we've got some green onions that have decided to just come up by themselves. And if we pan over here, walk a little bit further over here, these are actually my walking onions, and these guys actually produce bulblets on the tops of the tips of the stems, and then that's how they actually walk through the garden. So I took actually the bulblets off and I'll plant them elsewhere, but basically it gives you an endless supply of green onions or spring onions, which you can use in many different dishes. Just a quick look in my daughter's vegetable garden. She's actually got a nicer head of broccoli than actually I've been able to grow so far, so she's been pretty lucky. This box gets full sun in the afternoon. And she still has some corn here that we're trying to protect from the raccoons. They haven't been growing that well. Maybe they just don't have enough soil, or they just maybe didn't get pollinated fully, but they're coming along somehow. And she's got some tomatoes in the corner, and then she's got her little cucamelons. And let's see if we can actually find one. There's one. And we've picked a few of those, and they taste like cucumbers, but they look like little watermelons. They're so cute. I do have some sweet potatoes planted here, which I've been struggling to grow, but they're coming along. And then we've got, of course, our strawberry tower, which has been putting on a bit of growth, and we may actually get some more strawberries still coming. Got a few strawberry planters as well, which are also doing well, as long as you keep them watered. Here we've got a bucket full of sweet potatoes. This is the first time that I've tried doing it this way. This garbage can actually doesn't have any holes in the bottom, but because we don't get much rain in summertime here, we can kind of manage the water and make sure it doesn't get too full of water. And we'll see if we get a decent harvest or not of sweet potatoes. And then the tomatoes, well, we've got lots of tomatoes coming on these two big plants just outside the greenhouse, and as you can see, they're getting big and they're getting nice. And then over here in the greenhouse, we've got some oregano drying, and we've got something called gobo, which is a Japanese burdock root. So we'll see how those do. And then over here we have more tomatoes in the greenhouse, doing really well. Some of the plants maybe not so well, but they're coming along and they're at least giving us some tomatoes. And then we also have up here peppers. These all seem to be this kind of black, dark purple pepper. Some are getting quite big. I'm not having any luck with watermelon. I've pretty well given up for this year, and we'll try again next year. We've got some parsley seedlings that are coming up, and another tomato plant, as if we don't have enough tomatoes. And then in my last video I showed you how to do seeding, and as you can see, we've got tons of seeds coming up for planting later, probably this month or September, and that'll give us some fall vegetables and even into winter time, because our winters are fairly mild here. Alright, and then the final look is at our fruit, and we have lots of fruit. So we have grapes coming along, a little bit dark here in the shade, but you can see we got big bunches. We got some actually even turning purple already, and like I said, we have lots of them. So there's another one, and we got more here. So providing it stays nice and hot and the raccoons don't get at them and the birds, we'll be having quite a harvest of grapes. Then we have our plum tree, and it's doing really well. We had a lot of loss of plums through the raccoons knocking them down, biting into them, but despite that, we still have a very full tree, and just trying to keep up with eating them and doing something with them, probably freezing some as well, again for my smoothies, and giving away to some friends as well. But they're right now just in the process of ripening, and so our whole fridge is full of ripe plums. So this apple tree is done. We just finished making the last of the applesauce from it, but then our smaller tree here does have some good eating apples, and these are great for just biting into. And it doesn't have many apples. They are getting bigger than they normally do, but we had problems in the spring with tent caterpillars, and so we lost a lot of foliage, we lost a lot of blossoms, but I think we still have enough apples here to say that it was somewhat successful. And then finally our fig trees. We have two fig trees, this big one here, and there's another one here, but they're kind of all more or less grown together, these two trees. And let's have a look and see if we can find some ripe figs. Yep, here they are. So there you go. There's a nice fig. It's a little bit firm still, so these ones we want to leave a little bit longer. Another one down here. Usually I wait until they give quite a bit before I try picking them. See if we can actually find one that's ready. Yeah, these are all still a little bit firm, but we have been picking them, and probably further up the tree we'll find some that are a little riper. But as you can see, this tree has a lot of them. There's some more, and this tree is growing into our pear tree. And pears we're not doing too well on. Again, we had some problems. This pear tree has a bit of rust on it, as you can see on the leaves. And the pears themselves, the red ones seem to be doing okay, but you can see that they have a little bit of, I think it's called scab. So this unfortunately this tree doesn't get that much water from our watering system, so, and I don't always remember to water it either, so that's something I do want to improve one day, is to make sure that it gets a sprinkler head or a drip irrigation so that this tree gets lots of water, because they really need that. Alright, I almost forgot this bed. It's a little bit empty right now because I had to pull out a whole bunch of turnips. Trying to get my shadow out of the way here. So I had to pull the turnips out. They weren't doing that well. They were bolting, and they really don't do that well in summer. So I've got more seeded that I'm going to then plant out. And then our parsnip are doing really well. They're growing quite a bit. You can see the ones in front that get a bit more sun than the ones in the back are doing better. And then we've got carrots as well. And they're getting quite fat, so we're gonna have to probably pick them fairly soon. This is a multicolored carrot, so we got red ones, we got white ones, yellow ones, red ones, sorry, I said red ones, orange ones. We've got our stand of leeks here. Again, trying to stay out of this shadow here. So we got leeks here growing. And we do have some onions. Oh, and look at that, there's a plum that fell off the tree that's rotting. Unfortunately, the raccoons dug a few of them out, so they're not going to get very big, and I did plant them a little bit late, so we're going to probably get sort of more shallot-sized onions, but that's okay. It's better than nothing. Alright, so there we go. So that was the August tour of the garden, and as you can see, it's pretty productive. There's some stuff that isn't doing so well, but other things are doing quite well, so you know, you take what you get, and you learn sort of from what worked this year, what didn't work this year, and you adjust it for next year. So if you like this video, please hit the like button, the thumbs up button, and make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you're notified when new videos come up. And then also check out my website, tranquilurbanhomestead.com, for more information about how to grow things and how to get some motivation and some inspiration to get started yourself on growing your own food at home. So keep in mind, healthy, fresh, homegrown. Thanks for watching. Bye.